My land's been in the family for 4 generations, and I'd sooner burn it than let Karen's HOA turn it into a solar farm graveyard. Last week, she stood on my porch, waving a contract like it was the 10 Commandments, and everything went to hell from there. It started with a letter, slipped under my door like a coward's handshake. The HOA, led by Karen Whitaker, wanted my 40 acres for a community solar initiative. They offered pennies on the dollar, promising green progress and a fat check for the neighborhood's coffers. My farm's been feeding families since my great-grandpa plowed it with a mule. I grow corn, soybeans, and enough stubbornness to choke a lawyer. I told them no, flat out, no negotiation. Karen didn't take kindly to that. She showed up the next day, her SUV gleaming like it just rolled off a showroom floor. "Jake," she said, her smile sharper than a snake's tooth, "you're holding back progress. This is for the greater good." I laughed in her face, told her the only greater good was keeping my land out of her claws. Her eyes narrowed, and I swear I saw her manicured nails twitch like she wanted to strangle me. She left, but not before promising to make things right. By Thursday, things got ugly. I woke to find my south fence line torn down. Posts snapped like toothpicks. A bulldozer sat in my field, its tracks chewing up my soybean crop. Karen's doing, no question. She'd hired some contractor to survey my land without my say-so. I called the sheriff, but he's her cousin's buddy useless. I drove my tractor over, blocked the bulldozer, and told the driver to get lost. He did, but not before muttering about HOA pressure. That night, my mailbox was smashed, and someone spray-painted "sell" or else on my barn. Karen wasn't just pushy, she was unhinged. The tension built like a storm cloud. Neighbors started whispering, some siding with Karen because she'd promised them lower utility bills. Others, like old Mrs. Carter, slipped me extra eggs and told me to watch my back. Karen's HOA meetings turned into war councils, with her preaching about sacrificing for the future. She painted me as the villain, the greedy farmer blocking their eco-utopia. I didn't care. This was my home, my legacy. I wasn't selling. Friday morning, it all exploded. I was fixing the fence when Karen's SUV screeched up. She stormed out, flanked by 2 goons in cheap suits, probably her lawyer's lackeys. "You're ruining everything," she screamed, her face red as the clay under my boots. I told her to leave, but she kept coming, ranting about eminent domain and lawsuits. Then she pulled out a sleek pistol, glinting in the sun, pointed right at my chest. My heart slammed against my ribs. I raised my hands, slow, staring into her wild eyes. "Karen," I said, voice steady as I could manage, "you're gonna regret this." Her goons froze, clearly not expecting her to go full cowboy. The bulldozer, still parked nearby, started smoking, turns out. Her survey crew had botched it, cracked the fuel line, and now it was a $50,000 wreck. That was her mistake, her chaos, staring us all in the face. The air crackled with tension, her finger trembling on the trigger. I thought of my kids, my wife, the farm I'd promised to pass down. I wasn't backing down, but I wasn't dying either. Then a siren wailed in the distance. Mrs. Carter, bless her, had seen the whole thing from her porch and called the state police, not the sheriff, real cops. Karen's face drained of color as the cruiser pulled up. Her goons scattered like roaches, and she lowered the gun, stammering about misunderstandings. The cops weren't buying it. They cuffed her, read her rights, and hauled her off while she screamed about her rights as HOA president. The bulldozer, now a smoldering heap, was proof of her sabotage. My field was a mess, acres of crops ruined, equipment destroyed, and my trust in neighbors shot to hell. But I wasn't done. Karen's stunt woke up the community. At the next HOA meeting, I showed up with photos of the damage, my trampled crops, the wrecked bulldozer, the spray-painted barn. I laid it all bare, my voice shaking with rage and pride. "This is what happens when you let power-hungry folks like Karen run wild," I said. The room went quiet, Neighbors who'd backed her looked ashamed. Mrs. Carter stood up, all 5 feet of her, and called for a vote to dissolve the HOA. It passed, barely. Karen's empire crumbled in a single night. The fallout was brutal. Karen's lawyer tried to spin it, claiming she was stressed and misguided. Didn't matter. The state pressed charges: assault with a deadly weapon, vandalism, trespassing. Her solar farm deal collapsed when the company saw the PR nightmare. My land was safe, but at a cost. I spent weeks replanting, repairing, and dodging reporters who wanted the crazy HOA lady story. My kids were scared to sleep for days, thinking someone else might show up with a gun. In the end, I stood on my porch, looking out at the fields my great-grandpa broke his back for. The crops were coming back, stubborn as me. Karen's SUV was gone, her house up for sale. Word was she'd moved to the city, tail between her legs. I didn't feel joy, just relief. This land was mine, paid for in blood and sweat. No HOA, no Karen, no solar farm could take that away. Weeks after Karen's arrest, the scars on my land lingered like ghosts. The ruined soybean rows were replanted, but the yield would be half what it should have been. The bulldozer's wreckage was towed away, leaving a churned-up patch of earth that mocked my efforts to heal. My family felt it too. My wife, Sarah, kept a bat by the door, and my son, Tommy, asked if the mean lady would come back. I told him no, but doubt gnawed at me. Karen's kind always finds a way to slither back. The community was fractured. Some neighbors apologized, bringing casseroles as peace offerings. Others avoided my eyes, ashamed they'd cheered Karen's green crusade. I didn't hate them. They'd been suckered by her promises of cheap energy and HOA clout. But trust was a crop that wouldn't grow back so easy. At night, I'd walk the fields, flashlight in hand, checking for new vandalism. The barn's cell or else was painted over, but I could still see its shadow. Then came the counterattack. I got a call from a lawyer, not Karen's, but one representing the solar company. They wanted to settle, offering to cover my losses if I'd sign a non-disclosure agreement. I laughed and hung up. No amount of money would silence me. Instead, I rallied the neighbors. Mrs. Carter hosted a meeting in her living room, packed with folks who'd had enough of HOA tyranny. We formed a co-op, pooling resources to rebuild what Karen destroyed. We even started our own small solar project on my terms, on a tiny plot I chose, with no corporate strings attached. It wasn't about profit, it was about taking back control. Karen's trial was the final act. She showed up in court, no longer the polished HOA queen, but a disheveled mess. Her blazer swapped for a cheap sweater. She pleaded guilty to lesser charges, got probation, and a fine she'd never pay off. The judge called her actions a betrayal of community. I watched her leave, head bowed, and felt a grim satisfaction. She'd lost everything: her power, her reputation, her grip on our town. My land stood untouched, a testament to saying no. Standing on my porch now, I see the fields stretching out, green and stubborn under the wide sky. The co-op's working, the community's healing, and my kids are laughing again. Karen's chaos taught me something. You don't just fight for land. You fight for what it means: family, roots, freedom. I'll never let that go. If your land, your home, or your rights are under threat, stand your ground. Fight like hell, because no one else will do it for you.